Hey Mexicans, welcome back to this new video where today we're going to be looking at the civilization started over again. So, yeah. The Russians go ahead and continue to expand more into Siberia. Eventually they get to every single part of Siberia before anybody else can. And this is where the new empire begins. The Blue Empire. It looks like the Russian Empire, though. Kind of the Soviets of this border, though, but yeah. And as for these final pieces of land, we have Korea finishing off its empire in mainland Asia as they go into Japan now. Looking pretty similar to the Japanese Empire. And they take out these islands before Russia even has the chance to. While China does take out some chunks of this land for their border. However, not all of it goes to China. As for one, they don't want their border to look too bad. So they will do a little bit of a treaty with Russia, making some land transfer trades. So these lands will end up going to China. And with that, we have the Korean border fixing up with this area. That's good enough for what it is. But now that we have this situated, now we gotta take a look at the green team, as they're really... Oh yeah, and finally, Asia itself is filled up, except for Malaysia. But coming up next, we have massive exploration teams. As we have all islands over here in Asia ending up being discovered. And then eventually they make it to Oceania, which they end up discovering every single bit of these islands. And, well, now we got some countries that like these lands. Not everything. We'll go to them, however. So first we have India and Sri Lanka. And this mess should not belong to the yellow team. But there's also some land that intersects with the yellow team too, so we're going to do some fixing up of this border. The pink team also has some intersecting land too in this area, so some fixing is needed. First, you'll have the fixing of the pink border. So the pink border and the green border will be fixed up a bunch. These areas like go way more closer to the pink team. Well, the green team's border is really boring. And also it interferes with the yellow team's border a lot. And now for the main course of problem. The yellow team gains Bangladesh. At least bits that they find problematic. And also, for the sake of this border, this is where the border ends. With the yellow team. Now, sitting in Southeast Asia. Speaking of Southeast Asia, they take out these islands, and they take over the Malay Peninsula. With the Federated Island Republic, the Federated Oceanic Republic starting up in the Philippines. With some islands going over to this republic. Some areas are split between the two, and it stays that way for a while. This Federated Island Republic is pretty powerful and has a pretty good navy to defend these islands in case of an attack. The only two islands that aren't included in this island republic is New Zealand, the New Zealand Islands, and Australia. Who actually, they all get the pink country. The green country actually goes out and becomes a colonial power. Oh yeah, not this green country. That green country. But I think for the sake of coloring issues, it should not be green. There you go, that's better. Now the purple team will take out Australia and New Zealand. Speaking of colonialism, next we have Africa, who will, for one, get discovered So yeah, all of Africa is now fully discovered. And second off, it will get colonized. No. Only the red and pink teams will get colonies surrounding their lands. But because they're not really looking to expand too far into Africa. They will take a lot of Egypt and get their coastal and protect their coastal holdings from within land. So that's what they do. They also connect up with this colony, and that's the end of their colonial area. However, the pink team will decide a little bit more coastal. Now they will still go inland, but it won't be as far as the red team has done it. They go down into the coast until they make it down here. At this point, they do end up going some parts inland because there's a bunch of lakes. And then this is where the colony will now be. And now some pretty good colonial powers. First up, the British. Or what would be the equivalent of the British here? So the British take this portion of colony. And let that gain a bunch of inland Africa. Western Africa. And they also take some pretty good lake areas in their area. This is their first colony, as this area is disconnected from where they're actually low psych. This colony will also go down into South Africa. Which actually takes out Madagascar before the pink team ever does get close to it. And that's for this inland area. Actually, they decide to split it up between the British, the red team, and they will make sure to make the borders look decent. And then last up, the pink team. Now, please note, there aren't as many countries in Africa as there were during the last Berlin Conference. Now, that's crazy. But now we have a war. A world war. No, actually a civil war. Now see, the yellow team has been doing some pretty shady stuff. And this is the Balkans. The Balkans never get along with each other, so they will be going into a civil war. First things first, provinces who wanted to join each respective country joined each respective country. But these areas wanting to join Russia, and these areas wanting to join the Danish country. And in these areas wanting to join the red team. These islands, and then the Greeks. But then now we will take a look at a peace treaty where all the countries split off from this one. Alright, so the yellow team does still remain, but it's not the same Balkan Union that it used to be. Because parts of it got annexed by the light red team. This chunk went to the red team. And then these two split off from the yellow team. So, yeah. Now we have a little bit of a... Now we have a war. As the light blue team disputes these areas with the orange team. So, these two are now at war. And this country is way more powerful than the Nordic country. So they will go up and with a show of force let the army squirm. They push in until they make it to southern Norway and southern Sweden. At this point, the Nordics accept any peace treaty that the Russians give them. So we will now take a look at what they will take. And oh boy, they're taking a lot. So this right here is the chunk that they're taking. Now, geez, that's a lot, and also really uneven with their border. Why are they doing this? Well, if that's your question. Then you might want to point to this light red team. They have a governmental change. They're really iffy in the head. They go and cause havoc. But of course, the holy trinity of countries like the British Empire and the red team are not going to let them get away with this, or the Russians. Now, at first, they do really, really well. They pancake Russia. For a bit, at least. What they don't, the people who they don't end up pancaking is the red team. But pretty soon, they're going to see that the red team is not to be messed with. Nor the British Empire, who has made its landing in France, and is the one that takes out Denmark and bombs Copenhagen. With Denmark gone, the rest of the empire is not sustainable, as they're the only ones holding the glue together. Alright, so first things first, Russia takes back its former land and more. They go in and take out Berlin. The British Empire goes ahead and consolidates their front line. And then finally, the Italian Empire consolidates their front line. Or the Red Empire. But wait, what about these areas? Well, these get properly reintegrated into the yellow team. And the pink, and this pinkish team, this gray team. And with that, we can take a look at the new borders of Europe. Which I will remind you, there's going to be a lot more countries because of this. But also one less. So yeah, let's take a look at this peace treaty. Alright, so in this peace treaty we have the red team gaining lands in southern France and connecting to Italy, with bits of red team land being annexed too. In France itself, we have the British getting some parts of it, but the rest of basically France and bits of Germany and Switzerland are put under a new country. Another country is basically the Benelux region, or basically the Netherlands. Another country is the equivalent of Bavaria, and then basically Germany, North German Confederation, or maybe Prussia. With Russia gaining lands in Eastern Europe, which kind of resembles the Russian Empire, if it didn't have Central Asia. But that's besides the point. Anyway, the red team is gone, but a new thing happens. First things first, Cyprus finally becomes a part of the red team. Second off, though, some countries ultimately decide to, well, collapse. Well, actually, there's a war that's going to happen. No, civil war. So the lime team is collapse. So the gold team is collapsing under its weight. And their whole land is now up for grabs. Now, some countries will decide to ultimately declare independence before they can take land. Now, first up, we will have an actual fixing of borders. Now, this border is really annoying. There is some thought into it. And quite frankly, the green team doesn't want all of its extra land in here. Because they ultimately just want their border to be pretty much in Central Asia. So first they will reduce to here. And then they will continue fixing it up to here. And then the border will end up shooting up more to where China is. And any lands that the green country gave up to fix their border will go to any other countries of what collapses of this country. But first, we also have some border fixing going on in the Chinese area. But that also kind of involves they will also give up lands to the whatever country comes up here. They don't take land from this. In fact, they strive to lose land to fix their border. And yeah. And so now several countries will be born out of this. First things first, we have an Indian country which will take the mantle of India. And they will really take that seriously. With them taking up this part of India, the Indian subcontinent, and along with that, making sure that their border looks good with the claims that those teams gave up. But now the red team strives to make a puppet too out of this. The gold team won't not survive, but it'll be under a puppet of the red team. So the red team sends its army into this area. They ultimately make this unclaimed area their puppet because no one else wanted it. The green team doesn't want it, and the Chinese team can't even reach it, and the Indian team definitely doesn't want it. So there you go. Now that's that. However, the Koreans are really looking forward to expanding. But they won't expand it to Russia because that's a death threat. Instead, they will well, China has been doing some very questionable things. And the green team is looking to take some action as they're older than this China, and this China hasn't been around for long enough. So the green team will take advantage and take out this China. A lot of the people in this area wanted to join the green team anyway. And there's also a lot of people in this area that wanted to join the Indian team, so they decided to take advantage of that as well. the Russians consolidate themselves into China, as they wanted to. And with that, finally, the Koreans decide to make their move. Because it's either now or never. And so they take out the coast and make it to here. Also, I think the Federated Island Republic needs a different color. How about this one? That'll work. Now this actually fits better than the other color. Eventually this China surrenders and there will be some fixing up of borders. So now I have to, 1, take a look at a peace treaty, and 2, reverse the color. So in this peace treaty, we have the green team extending themselves into more of China. The Indians taking over Himalayan parts of China. And then the rest of China goes over to the Koreans. Unlike that, the Russians take some chunks that belong to them. However, as time progresses, there will be a World War II. Because this one was World War I. Denmark wants to get revenge for the land loss that the teams have gotten. But we see another country who joins up with this alliance. The yellow team. And these two work together to defeat to militarize and get back on top. But wait, there's one more country that will join up on this team. There's 2 more, actually. We have Sweden, and then we have the Korean team. But before we have all that, we have a random warping coming from a random dimension. No one else knows this yet, but this is what happens. They discover the American continent. And they go over to Virginia. Nothing's really happening there. Actually, there is, because once they head up to DC, they notice that there's infrastructure going around. They notice the interstate system and some other things. That's right. They've discovered the United States of America. And they have really touched themselves up to not... The people didn't know about this. But the United States of America is here. And they've been here. No one else knows who the United States of America even is. But we all know because we recognize it from our world. However, the U.S. came here to random wormhole jumping. No one else knew about this. And that's because everyone was busy with World War I. But during World War I, the U.S. found itself jumping through dimensions randomly from an alternate universe. And this is where the potential of a CapCut branch would begin. Would being the key word. And it will, but patience. But now there's a missing pixel that we have to address. Once you miss a pixel, it just goes into chaos. Where's the pixel at? The Google Pixel. Should that do? No, it shouldn't do. Oh wait, I forgot about one connection. Right there, now the US is colored in. They have some areas in Canada too, but it's fine. So yeah, this is where the US was this whole time. But they ended up discover. But yeah, the world discovered Virginia. The world did not discover the country that was already there. Oh yeah, I forgot about Alaska. Okay, cool. So, unbeknownst to them, the Americans discovered America before they did. Which is cool and all. And Hawaii is also a part of that. Alright, cool. They decide to act quickly and colonize the remaining uncolonized land, as the Americans did not want to colonize. So the Canadians decide to take advantage of this, or the British decide to take advantage of this area. The red team decides to take advantage in Central America and bits of South America, with a surprise contender in colonializing, the Danish. They end up getting the Brazilian areas. And since they don't want any international backlash, the red team, they decide to let them be. But wait, there's another contender. The brown team. Nobody's surprised about this one, but they do end up colonizing. And just like that, the full world is finally filled out. A little bit too quickly, though. And as we already know, the United States is in this world with its full technological might, its infrastructure, its military ranking. They thought that the red team was number one. But oh boy, if they look at the Americans' technology, they don't even come close. And they will never take it either. But this does end up leading to the CapCut version. Thank you for watching.